All right, Concert Journal number 13, April 27th, 2024. We went to Youngtown, Ohio to see Judas Priest and Sabaton at the Covelli Center. So this was our first time at this venue, and we lucked out. We didn't start out with a good, I guess, getting off on the right foot because we messed up the time that it started. So there's a little bit of a drive further than a normal one for us. It's 45 minutes. And like we had planned to leave at a certain time, and the next thing we know, an alarm went off that said, "Oh, by the way, the concert starts in an hour." And we're like, "Uh-oh, we weren't really ready for that." So we scrambled. We jumped into the car, and then we went out there. It wasn't any traffic, but a little bit when we were trying to actually get into the parking lot that they had for them. So we lucked out when we went in there. It's a small arena. Mm-hmm. Right, so it's like for a little hockey team, or like a minor league team, which is great because, like, you know, you imagine like a big arena and then you just shrink it down half in size. So like every seat seemed to be a good seat.
Yeah.
For it, so, but it had all folding chairs.
Yeah, every seat was, or at least the ones we could see, were all folding chairs. Every single one on the floor, ours were folding chairs. So.
Yeah, well, that's like kind of weird. So I'm not sure if there's permanent seating somewhere, but it wasn't at least where we were sitting when we were there. So the first thing that struck, and we'll talk about it later, which is the merch. But we walked in, and normally we kind of try to get our merch shopping out of the way. But what did we notice about the merch when we got there?
We could only find one merch table, and the lines were super long for it. So we decided we'll try to get it after the show because we knew if we get in these lines, we're going to miss a band.
Yeah, and we only had two bands with Sabaton playing before, but this is the longest merch line we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, this beats out Metallica,
Maiden.
So if you imagine it's a 5,000 seat venue, all 5,000 people have to go to literally the one. They took like the merch store for the hockey team and they just rebranded it as that. So there's like, it was actually a room. Mm-hmm. And everybody, if you wanted anything, you had to get in line for it. So we said, nope, let's go to our seat and get ready for the show, and we'll just do it afterwards. So so that was kind of an odd start. So we got there late. Merch line was super long. We're like, oh my gosh. So a couple things were stacked against us on it. But we had really good seats, right? So where were we sitting?
Yeah, we were on the right side of the stage, and we were front row. And it was basically like right there on the floor. So you could basically just hop off there and get on the floor if you wanted to, but we didn't. Yeah,
so we were front row of like the side, if you imagine that. And we were, stone throw away from the stage. Yeah. So we got these tickets when they went on sale. You know, you can sign up and join the Judas Priest fan club. We got us early access. And so I splurged. I didn't think they were particularly... We've paid more for worse seats. So these tickets were $86.50. I thought for front row for Judas Priest, and I thought, well, great, let's do that. But on top of that, as there always is, there's fees, and it was $22.45 of fees, which brought each ticket to $108.95. So for the two of us to go, just to get there, we're $217.90. It was a 26% markup just in fees for it. So when you say, oh, $86 basically to be that close for a show like this, easy. Like I said, we've paid more for less. And you start adding it up and you're like, that is so much money. Mm-hmm. So, okay, whatever. So we paid that kind of money to see the show. So speaking of the show, so we see Sabaton opening. Mm-hmm. I don't really call them openers. They're kind of like co-headlining, even though there's only two bands. So tell us about Sabaton.
So Sabaton is a power metal band from Sweden where all their songs are about history and like war. And this was our first time seeing them. And the first thing we noticed was they had a big banner, and in front of it, they had like a front half of a tank that had the drum kit on it.
Yeah.
Which was surprising. We were not expecting that.
Yeah, so to see a tank riser. And I actually am a little surprised that at no point during the show did that tank do anything. It had like, rocket launchers on or whatever, all this stuff, and it didn't shoot anything. So that could have happened.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So whatever. It doesn't really take away from it. But I was kind of expecting that to happen. But it was a fun band.
Yeah, they were really fun live.
Yeah, they were like very, very low key. They were doing like fun stuff during the show. Like the guitarist went and stuck guitar picks to the lead singer's forehead, like he's sweaty, and so the little plastic thing stuck. So the lead singer's singing, whatever, he stuck that. I mean, you know, I don't know, little things like that. You could tell that they weren't taking themselves too seriously with all of that. Great crowd interaction.
Yeah.
And they had the thing with the kid.
Oh yeah, they did. So in the front row, there was a little kid there. I think he said he was 11, and the singer gave him his sunglasses before the last song.
Yeah, and he asked him, because he was like 11 years old or something like that, and he asked him, how many shows have you been to? And he said
like 69 or something. And I'm like, how long have you been going to shows? I'm like 3 years older than you, and I've probably not even done like half of that. That's insane.
That is insane. Whatever. So the kid was front row, and they gave him the sunglasses, so that was kind of a crowd pleaser. A lot of Sabaton shirts too, right?
There was. The first thing we noticed when we got in there, we were just sort of like looking at people's shirts, and we're like, man, we've seen like 30 Sabaton shirts. This is a lot.
It was almost 50-50 between shirts of bands that were performing, Judas Priest and them. It was a lot of people were there to see Sabaton. Oh, that one guy cosplayed.
Yeah, we did see
singer.
One person who cosplayed as the lead singer. So he had like the mohawk, he had the glasses, and he had like the shirt where he has like the like silver pieces down there's like armor or something.
Yeah, he had taken like aluminum foil, you know, and he kind of like made it in the shirt and kind of like glued it to a shirt, which is pretty hilarious. But I mean, again, people cosplaying, if you will, to see Sabaton. So anyway, the first time I had no expectations going in, but I definitely left and thought they'd be fun to see again. That was a lot of fun to watch them play. So after them, Judas Priest came out.
Yes, and they also had a really good stage presence. They had, on the sides, they had like their sort of like cross logo. They had a big banner, and even before they started, they had like a banner hang in front of it that had some like, I don't know, poem or something on it. I don't really know what it was. It wasn't like
about being the invisible shield. It was about like basically, you know, being a metal fan, something along those lines. But yeah,
but then it started. The banner dropped, and they were awesome. They put on a really good show.
Yeah, it was high energy. Obviously, everybody was into them. They played a lot of hits. You know, we talked about this. Like, you think, oh wait, but they didn't play blank. But you realize
they have like 20 albums.
Yeah, they have so many hits. They're gonna narrow it down. But we saw everything you'd hope to see, plus 3 songs off the new album, which I have not listened to, but you have.
Yeah, I've only listened to it once, and I thought the album was pretty good.
Yeah, the songs they played I thought sounded great. I think it'd be fun to listen to those a little bit more and the rest of the album with that. So Judas Priest was great. Came out in the motorcycle at the end. So that was fun.
Also during the show, they had like their cross logo they use or whatever it's called. And we noticed at the top of the stage, they had it there. And during a couple songs, they lowered it. It was lighting up, and that was really cool to have. Yeah,
that was a neat little like addition to it. So it was actually kind of fun production. I also see that Rob Halford left the stage every chance he got.
Yeah.
Like if he wasn't singing, they had like these curtains, and he'd walk through the curtains, go in the back, even if it was for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Then he'd come back out and continue. Like, what in the world is going on back there that he's like, I gotta take a break. Go back and do that. But anyway. But no, his voice held up. He sang all the songs as you would expect them to be sung, so that was great. Okay, to rate the band. So Sabaton.
Green, they were awesome. Hope to see them again. Maybe see them headline, have a bit of a longer set, see some of the more songs I like.
Yeah, definitely a green. Like I said, I went in with no expectations, and they're such a fun band to watch play. And their crowd interaction, I mean, they're just very like outgoing, and it would be great to see them headlining, supporting at a venue or at a festival or something like that. It was a lot of fun. So that was great. Definitely a green. And then Judas Priest.
Green, again, they were great. Great stage performance. They were really good. Still hold up.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they are a classic, they were a bucket list band, right? Like you feel like if I could see any bands especially as you kind of get into the music,
Yeah.
like who are the pillars of this genre? And you think, oh, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and to see one. So
Yeah.
it was a bucket list band. I'm so happy that we got to see them. Maybe not at this price point again.
Yeah.
I mean, $220. Next time, I just want to be in the door. I don't need to be as close. I'm thrilled that we were this close, but I'd be willing to do it, maybe a little bit less money for that. So, whatever. Okay, so they came and went, and then it was time to leave. We hung out and we're like, let's get our merch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, how did that go?
So, again, we noticed the lines are still incredibly long, but at least what we saw is there were sort of like 2 lines sort of going in, and then it was basically just a free-for-all. Then it was just like a sea of people there, and we just sort of like walked in because we didn't really know where to go.
Yeah, it wasn't very well organized.
And then we went in and basically just went to whoever was open, and we got our merch.
Yeah, it went pretty quick, all things considered. But then when we left this, the line was back. So again, our total experience was maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I think for everybody else, it was
longer.
Oh my God, so much longer. So anyway, first of all, so what did we get?
So I got a Judas Priest shirt that had like the Invincible Shield album cover. And I also got a Sabaton patch that was available.
Yeah, so the shirt was $50, the patch was $10. And then I got a shirt as well for Judas Priest. It had a different kind of angel, I guess the guy in the suit of armor, the angel. Anyway, so that was that. It was nice because it had the dates in the back.
Yeah.
But the overall merch selection, what did they have or not have? They didn't have anything.
No, they did not have a lot. They had a few. So Judas Priest had a few shirts. They had like a Defenders of the Faith shirt, but they only had like 2 shirts with dates. Sabaton I think they only had like 1 shirt with dates, if any. Judas Priest didn't have a patch. They had a pin that you cannot see because they didn't have it like up front.
Yeah.
Judas Priest had a sweatband, which is weird, and they had like weird stuff. But I'm like, how are you not gonna have a patch?
Yeah. Well, or the Sabaton had the drawstring bag.
Yeah.
Like this little bag with a drawstring top that they were selling. We're like, what an odd choice.
I know.
It was a horrible selection.
Yeah.
And then the kicker was afterwards, I went onto their website to see if they had anything else. They were missing a patch. Did they have anything like that? And you realize everything that was at the concert was for sale on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that we saw was exclusive to actually going to the show.
Yeah, which that is like probably one of the things that makes me mad the most. Because I'm like, well, then what's the point of going to the show if I can just go there and be like, yeah, I saw them.
Yeah.
When you're just wearing the shirt.
You can just buy it. So that was a huge letdown. Like, why? And honestly, it wasn't any, the website showed it was $5 cheaper, but once you pack in shipping and tax, like, it was definitely more. But, horrible. Like, it was just kind of phoned in. And at $50 for a shirt, that's what Metallica, that's what Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And the fact that Judas Priest was selling that, I get it. They're one of the founders of the metal that we know today, but $50, not so much. And then the fact that it wasn't exclusive, sorry, that's way overpriced for that. $40 is what that shirt should be, because I can just, I don't know, whatever. That was a real letdown. Okay, and then the first for this concert?
First time that we saw both bands, and this is also our first time at this venue.
Yeah, and actually this city, first time we've actually been into Youngtown, which is right on the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So it's like equal driving distance for Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So I think it was actually perfect, the fact that both cities could feed this concert. It's actually not a bad place for that. So hopefully we can go back. So overall review. So starting with the venue, how would you rate this venue?
I would give it a green, but it would, if they get more merch stands, it'd be a solid green. But this is like borderline yellow if they just have one merch stand.
Yeah. Yeah. So the venue itself, every seat is a good seat. Everything was great about the size, all that stuff, absolute green. The merch stand really, really struggles with that. So speaking of which, how would you rate, let's all rate 2 things, right? How would you rate the merch itself? What would you give that?
It's like borderline red for me. I'll give it a yellow, but like there was like 2 good shirts for Priest. The Sabaton shirts were okay. No patch for Priest. The pin kind of sucked, and there was like nothing really that like stood out to me.
Yeah, it is a borderline red. I'll give it a yellow just because I was happy with what I got.
Mm-hmm.
But as we say, like, there needs to be something at every price point. Great. If you have a $50 shirt, great. But what can I go in and get for $10 to $20, you know, and have some options? There were actually people that I saw that walked in, they saw the prices, and they just turned right out because, like, there just was nothing outside of that price point. So that sucked. But I think sideline, like, how would you rate the merch at this venue? I mean, it's a red.
Yeah.
Like, one venue or one, you know, store for 5,000 people or whatever that place can hold. No, that's horrible. It's like, imagine having one bathroom with 3 stalls and 5,000 people who can only use that. Bad? That's how bad the line was. It was horrible. So, whatever. Nothing we can do about that. The overall value. So again, just as a summarize, the tickets were $217.90. The merch was $110 for 2 shirts and a patch.
$327.90 total.
Yeah, that is. I mean, okay, I'll give this the value as a red. Like I would pay $90. Which I already talked about, like my willingness or interest in seeing Judas Priest, who is a bucket list band. But the fact that we blew $330 for one night to see this 2 bands at a relatively small venue, like that's crazy. Now, granted, you don't have to buy merch. It's still $220. You know, it's crazy with that. So, not a good value for all of this. But finally, the overall concert experience with the bands and all that, what would you give them?
Green. Both bands were awesome. Great to see both bands. I wanted to see both bands.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, Judas Priest was a bucket list band, and they just delivered. I got exactly from them what I wanted to see in a live show. And then Sabaton, with no expectations, killed it. They were fun. I think they'd be great to see again. Absolute green with that. So the value was really poor, but at least the concert held up with that. So anyway, so overall, there we go. Hopefully we can get back to this venue. And just one last note. So in the UK, or at least in Europe, Judas Priest is touring with Saxon, right? But for some reason in the States, those 2 bands are split up.
Yeah.
So we saw Judas Priest with Sabaton, and then this upcoming week we're going to see Saxon with Uriah Heep. So we're going to kind of see the show broken up into 2 shows. So
we're going to see an extra band because Sabaton wasn't playing that.
Sabaton and Uriah Heep is being thrown in as well. So there you go. So all right, well that concludes this journal. Thanks for watching.